The recording has been started. Okay. Okay, so here we are. So let's explore enterprise asset management in D365. So this is our group. This is your group, which is ANZ D365 FinOps team. So first of all, I will thank you all for joining us today, and a big thank you to all the volunteers, speakers, and attendees who always support us and give their precious and important time to this group. I would like to especially thank our today's speaker, Vijay Dodia, who came forward to share his knowledge about Enterprise Asset Management module in D365. Thank you, Vijay. We really appreciate your efforts. Okay, so what is this group about? So ANZ D365 FinOps team is we just started a few months back with the help of you guys. So the aim of this group is to gather D365 FinOps professionals from ANZ region so that they can share their knowledge of D365 ecosystems with wider community which is based in ANZ region. This is the platform where everybody from ANZ region can come forward and share their knowledge which they have learned over the past year. So as this is your group, our group, I would like you all to come forward and share your knowledge by speaking in our upcoming session. So if you want to share D365 FinOps knowledge, you can come to any of the volunteers who are Kamar, Rachit, Faisal, myself, Zishan, or Vishal. So feel free to contact these guys. So just to let you know what D365 FinOps areas we have covered in our last session with the help of our great speakers. First is electronic reporting, dual rights, project operations, intercompany trading, Power Apps case studies, and advanced warehousing. You can find all the videos of these sessions on our YouTube channel, which you can find in upcoming slides. So you can just connect with your own group through these mediums such as Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, or can join our meeting group as well, where you can get all the notification of our upcoming sessions. Here is the link, which will help you in joining the group on LinkedIn. Okay, so don't forget to join if anybody has not joined it. If you want to follow us on Twitter, so here you can find the link as well. And the most important thing where you can find all the videos of our previous session conducted by our speaker is our YouTube channel. So just go there, subscribe, and you can find all the videos of our previous sessions. So what are our upcoming sessions? So we have some upcoming sessions planned for you. Don't miss these sessions, as Kasun, who is Microsoft Valuable Professional based in New Zealand, will be showcasing very important functionality of warehouse management, which is cross-docking. After that, we have a session planned on project operation by Ethel Lee, who is based in Melbourne, Australia. I would like to thank all of our speakers and the great dedication they have towards this group. So I will quickly hand over to our today's speaker, Mr. Vijay, to take us through some exciting functionality of Enterprise Asset Management module. Over to you, Vijay, now.
Thanks, Amar. Thanks for introduction, and thanks everyone's organizing this group, which is really helpful for sharing our knowledge between us and giving me an opportunity to share my knowledge and my experience with everyone. So thanks, Amar, for that. So let me share my screen with you.
Yes, perfect. We can see your screen.
Yep. Okay. So we'll talk about Microsoft Dynamics 365 Asset Management module that Microsoft is now offering. So we'll just fill that Microsoft fill that gap with the whole life cycle of that asset, which is currently you can manage through that asset management. So today's agenda will be checking that what's the asset management is about. We'll check the main building blocks. What are the assets and what are the functional location, because these two things are very prime important things when in related to the asset management. Then we'll look into the reactive and preventive maintenance, work order management, just in the overview. We'll go to the system and just show you the demo of how everything is there, that what we discussed in this presentation. And last part is that if you have any questions, then we can try to answer as much as possible on that. So let's see the history of asset management. So this asset management module was earlier the Dynaway have developed as enterprise asset management, and they were offering as a add-on into the Dynamics 365 or AX 2012. And Microsoft then had decided to buy this piece of functionality from Dynaway, and now are offering since 2019 they are offering as a natively within Dynamics 365. So it just sits as another module in there, and it just use the other functionality and other modules that are already there in 365, which is a standard modules. So that's just a brief history of that. Let's see what are the main building blocks for the asset management. What we need to see that what it involves in this asset management. So the two important parts of asset management is that assets and functional location. Okay, so we'll check that one into detail a little bit there. And there are other parts are maintenance request and maintenance plan, which are more or less linked to either reactive scenarios or preventive maintenance scenarios, and the work orders, whether it is reactive or preventive, they all work orders management that has. So the main advantage of asset management is that you can able to track and you can able to manage your asset within your company. So it's whether it's your production machine or your forklift or any other vehicles that you are maintaining, or whether you are in a business of maintaining other customers' asset. So you don't need to have that asset as a fixed asset in your books. You can just use the customer asset and just maintain it. So for example, like your car dealer, they might be servicing your car, but they don't own your car now. So they're just doing that servicing for your car, and they can have your car as assets in their system, and then they can just maintain that one. Microsoft has already this acquiring asset and retiring asset within that fixed asset module. So financially, you can play around with that asset. You can acquire that asset. You can transfer or depreciate that asset, and you can have that full financial management within your fixed asset module. Same way, you can retire that asset with, you can dispose that asset, but the middle section of managing and maintaining, that was missing, and that gap is filled by this asset management module. So sometimes people also confuse with the fixed asset and asset management module. So this just the distinction is that your fixed asset module is acquire and retire, that just to handle those two parts. And the asset management module is purely for managing and then maintaining that asset. It doesn't involve with any financial stuff. It still register all the cost and maintenance that you are spending on that asset, but the acquire or dispose of that asset is still within that fixed asset module. But you can still have everything linked together as a full end-to-end process, and you can use the other capability of Microsoft, that whole ecology, that Power Platform, Power Apps, Power BI, everything is available to you and within that your Azure cloud. Okay. So what asset management is doing in that module? So you can do your full management of that asset meaning that can have that asset set up in your system. You can link with that fixed asset. You can have various request management for that. So you can have, for example, if you want to inspect that asset, then you can create your maintenance request for that one. Same way, you have a full work order management. You can create a work order and just manage and register all the cost or the faults and everything against that. You can schedule those work orders. You can use your own resources for that, and then that will just provide you the full capability that you can use the existing machine as a resources or your worker as a resources. Spare part tracking is also available that you can use your current inventory items that as a spare part, and you have a full control over that with the other modules that if you use the spare parts, then you can just have that requirement available in your master planning as well. Journals are get posted once you complete your work order. You can post your journals regarding that hours that you have spent, items that have you used on the work order, and everything then just registered against your financials. You can have the various KPI you can maintain against that asset. You can find your downtime, that sort of analysis on that. Cost control will give you full access to how much you are spending into a month, year, or like that, and create a various a breakdown for your asset, for a reactive maintenance cost or preventive maintenance cost. So everything is available in there. So that's pretty comprehensive task that this module is doing. So let's understand what is the asset, what we call as an asset in the system. So generally, asset is a very essential part in this asset management, but it's either a machine or a machine part that you require a maintenance or the service. So in short, anything that you have that you want to maintain or service is called asset. That could be anything. Your building can be an asset. Your forklift is your asset. Your machinery or your plant is their asset. And within that asset, you can have that hierarchical structure as well. So you can maintain the parent-child relationship as well. So you can track the cost or maintain the cost at that higher level, at the plant level, or at the component level, various components you have. And you can have maintain various information against each asset. So if you have a specific attributes that you can maintain, you can set up items that normally require for this asset. So for example, if the forklift, you are servicing the forklift regularly, you can set up some of the items that workshop consumables or some inventory item that every time you create a work order, those items will get populated as well. So what you can maintain with that asset? So with asset, you can use asset type, which is a kind of a categorization for the asset. So you can group like a similar asset into a one asset type. For example, you have vehicles, right? You have a car, you have a delivery truck, you have a tanker or something that you normally use. So everything you can group them into, for example, a vehicle category or vehicle asset type, and then you can apply some standard parameters to it. So for example, if you have a car and then you just maintain at regular interval and you need some specific spare parts, for example, oil, you need oil change. So you can put oil as in the asset type. So every time you use that asset type, automatically those parameters will come into the work order. Also, when you create the asset, you must specify the asset type. And other thing you have to maintain is that once you create the asset type is get locked in. So you can't change the asset type once you created your asset. So you have to be careful when you're considering asset type and when you're creating any new assets. The other thing you can maintain on asset is your conditional assessment. So the conditional assessment is kind of a regular assessment or regular checking that you do when you service those assets. So you can have that full history of your condition of your asset, and you can maintain that at every time you do your work order. So you complete your work order, and those observation that you have done on the condition of that asset, that will go into your asset history. Also, this condition assessment will have a pass-fail results as well. So, for example, if you check the oil and the condition of the oil is dark, you can have that observation as a failed. And then based on those, you can take the decision on the any reactive maintenance that's required on that asset. There are counters that you can maintain on the assets. So the counters are basically just a meter reading or a reading help you to trigger some more maintenance on that asset. So that could be if it is your manufacturing plant or manufacturing machine, then you have those as a production hours or quantity that machine has produced, and based on that you can take decision that okay, whether this machine every 10,000 pieces that's manufactured, I need to service this machine. So you can use the counter to register that record. And also counters, you can set it up onto asset type. So asset you create with that asset type, those counters are automatically flow through, and then you can just maintain the every time you do that work order. Asset has their life cycle as well, which can make them active or inactive. You can configure those life cycle state, and then you can pass that asset through that life cycle state. For example, you have the asset initially created, then it may be waiting for someone's approval, and once it's approved, it's active. Then you can decommission it, and then you can just dispose that asset as well. So you can maintain all those life cycle state, and those are life cycle state are linked with whether the asset is active or inactive. And there are heaps of asset attributes or properties that you can maintain on the asset, and you can configure those one by yourself, and there's no limitation on that one. So you can have, for example, you measuring the capacity of that asset. So you can create an attribute called capacity, and then you can have that different unit of measurement, and you can measure the capacity in the liters or something like that. So these attributes help you to provide a little bit more information onto your asset and help you whether you can install that asset into a specific functional location or not. Now the important part is the functional location. So functional location is whether it is a technical structure, whether it is a geographical hierarchy that you have. It's a location where your asset is actually installed. Okay, so it basically tells you to track your asset. So if you want to find out where my asset is currently right now, and you can find out that where it is located. And when you run your maintenance plan and create your work order, you can send the technician to the specific functional location, and they can do all the servicing. So for example, your functional location could be a building. So you have in the building, you have 5 different machineries set up. So you can install those machinery on those exactly same functional location, and you can send the technician onto that functional location, and they can do the service for all the 5 machines. So the hierarchy you can again create is a parent-child relationship, and then you can maintain the whole structure. But the only thing here is the locations, functional location hierarchy is not flexible. So once you created your hierarchy, you can't able to move to parent and child relationship. So in asset, you can do that. If you have a child asset, you can set it up at the other parent level. But functional location is locked in as soon as you create and you activate that hierarchy on that one. And also functional location type is available for grouping the functional location into a different groups. So you can have a specific grouping and then you can just apply. So for example, if you have a building and then you have another thing is a floor and the room level. So that functional location type also like that type, you can maintain some of the general attributes there. So that attributes will be then available to all the functional location. And also this functional location type help you to restrict what you can create as a child. So for example, if you have a building and you want to create a next functional location hierarchy or child as a level, you can put a restriction, then you can only create a level on a building. You can't create a level in your suburb, right? So that sort of validation you can achieve onto the functional location type. So now the most important part is this module is pretty much comprehensively involved with other modules that we already have. So it's tightly integrated with everything that we have. For example, fixed asset. Okay, so fixed asset, you can have it. Your asset has a fixed asset link, fixed asset number. So when you link your fixed asset with maintenance asset, then you can just track everything that you spend on your maintaining then through your fixed asset module as well. So in the fixed asset module, you can have your maintenance asset, and then you click that, and then it will be coming back to your asset. So that's where when we earlier seen that acquire to retire screen. So this is how it totally controls from acquiring asset to totally dispose and maintaining that asset. The other module is a procurement module. That's also tightly involved with this one. So in your work order, from your work order, you can directly create your item requirement. You can purchase requisition, your purchase order as well directly for that item that you need for maintaining that asset. So if you have a spare part or if you have a other services that you required, you can straight away generate that purchase order or purchase requisition from that, and that purchase order is then directly linked with this work order. So once you receive that purchase order item, that is coming back to your work order as well. So everything that has that purchase cost or any cost related to that item, you still have that direct link to that purchase order. Then the general ledger. So everything you do is posted through your journals, and there is a full traceability in your journals that we have the orders and work orders. Whatever work orders you have spent, you can have that hours journal, item journals. So everything you posted here, it just linked directly to a centralized cost. Human resource module is also linked with there. You can link your resources with your asset. So this is very helpful in production companies where you have your machine is directly used as a resources in your production route. Now you can link that your resource or a machine directly to your asset. So that means when you do your maintenance on that machine, you can have that all the maintenance costs that you have done. That also you can track. You can have if you are doing a work order. So if you are servicing that machine, and that machine is has a downtime for a couple of days or that, because they both are linked, you can see that one into your manufacturing setup, and then that machine you can see that is not available because of the servicing. Also, you can have your worker directly relate to your functional location, and that way, if they go into your full list of asset or functional location, they can only able to see their asset, the asset that are only linked to them. Okay, so rather than getting the full list, they can only see that asset or functional location that are directly related to them in here in this setup. Project management and accounting module. So this module is very tightly integrated with asset management. Everything that asset management does, it goes through that project management module. So that's why you need to minimum link your functional location or your work order to your project ID. And once you link that project ID, every time you create a work order, it will create a sub-project within that project, and it creates an activity in that project. So that way you can maintain that activity, you can close that activity once your work order is finished, and the invoicing, the billing, and everything is done through the project management module. Then there is an inventory module and the product information module that are also linked with that, as we see that you can create directly purchase order on that one. So you can use all the items, your inventory items in there. Production module is also integrated with that in terms of counters. So for example, you can set up a counter which can track your production hours or your production quantity. If you link that one with your machine, then every time a production order is completed, the number of hours in that route for that resources or the quantity you produced through that production order is transferred into your counters, and then you can trigger the maintenance order if you set it up like say every 10,000 pieces I manufactured, I need to do a service. Or my forklift run for every 150 hours, I need to do a oil change. So if you have linked directly to that, you can keep track of those hours or quantity through your production orders. Master planning is also directly related to that, because as we see that we have a forecast model that also attach with your or the asset management. So every time you create your work order, those forecasts with whatever items that you want to on work order or the number of hours that you use on that work order goes into a forecast model. And if you put this forecast model into your master planning, then when you run your master plan, it will pick up all the requirement that you have in the work order and start ordering those items in there. Okay, so let's see what different type of models that we have in managing that asset. So the standard model, everyone knows that is a reactive breakdown model, right? Because you generally you do the maintenance if your asset is not working or it is broken down. So that's just a standard maintenance. It's not predicting anything. It just say, okay, my forklift is broken now. I just create a work order to fix that one. Okay, so this model is, if you look at that, is very low in the terms of profitability, because if machine is broken, you're losing your production time in that. So that uptime and revenue is got affected. So to improve that, you need to do the preventive maintenance. So you try to do the maintenance at certain interval based on your previous experience or your prediction that okay, every 5,000 kilometer I need to service my car. So that's based on that previous experience, that if you service the car at this interval, it's less likely to break it down into normal running. So you do at regular interval, and that's two things that are currently we covering as what we call a reactive maintenance order and preventive maintenance order. Later on, we'll have the condition-based maintenance as well, which is you have your IoT sensors directly connected to your assets, and in real time they are sending that information to your asset counters or conditional assessment that you have in your asset management module. And based on those readings, you make the decision that, for example, if you have a machine connected to with the sensors, and then you say, okay, trigger my maintenance work order if the temperature goes above 17 degrees. So anytime like the sensor sense that the temperature goes above 70 degrees, it just trigger the maintenance work order into the system. And you can use that pattern that sensors are collecting it, right? Predictive maintenance and cognitive maintenance that are more advanced, that in the sense of that more intelligent information is required. So those will be the future development will be coming. So it will be checking your usage pattern, checking your how much you may use doing that maintenance, what frequency you are doing the maintenance, what are your resources availability, and everything taken into a picture, and then system automatically creates some maintenance order, which will help you to maintain that high uptime for that asset. Okay. So let's look at the preventive maintenance. Reactive maintenance we will not fully cover in here, because it's just a standard maintenance. It's just a breakdown happens, and then you create a manually work order in there. So that's just a pretty much standard stuff. But preventive maintenance is more important if you want to just maintain your asset for the longer time. So there are important parts in this preventive maintenance is your maintenance plans and maintenance round. So those maintenance plan that you is just kind of a predefined interval that you specify that I want to carry out the maintenance, and then you have to provide a trigger. So trigger to that maintenance plan. So the triggers are two different type of triggers currently we have. One is the time-based trigger. So you're just saying, okay, I want to service every 6 months, every week, every month, and you can trigger at that fixed interval and into your plan. The other one is the counters. So again, counters are your meter reading. So if it is your car, every 10,000 kilometers done, you want to do a service. If it is a forklift, every 250 or 500 hours that are done, you want to do a service. So every time you do a counter reading, you can update the counter reading either by data upload or manually. And then if it reaches that threshold, system generates a preventive maintenance work order for that in the future. And once this one done, you can just have to schedule this maintenance plan. So a system will run that one. If you run this plan for, say, for example, 1 year, and system predicts that how many times you need to do a service. So if you running this maintenance plan for a 1 year period and your frequency is a monthly, then system will create 12 maintenance work orders for you to process in the future. If it's a counter, it checks your pattern of your reading. Okay, so if you're doing the service every 250 hours, we'll check the past readings and find out what is your rate of change for those readings. So it will predict that, okay, based on your previous reading, it's saying that, okay, every month you are doing about a 50 hours of forklift time. Then it says, okay, so in next 5 months you will reach to your 250. In next 10 months you reach your 500. So it will create a 2 work order based on that information. In preventive maintenance and normal work orders, there are some steps that you needed to do. The main setup is the maintenance job type. So maintenance job type is a kind of a grouping of the maintenance you are doing on that asset. So for example, if it is a service job, yeah, so the service job means you might have a specific set of skills required on that one, or a certification required on that one, that you can set it up and group them into a one maintenance job type. And you can have the variants of that maintenance type, job type. So if there's service, then you have a different variants of that. Is a 1,000-kilometer service, 5,000-kilometer service, 10,000-kilometer service. So you can still use the same main plan with maintenance plan, and then you can have just those variants in there. Then you have to set up those for every maintenance job type. You need to set up the defaults. Now the defaults are kind of a setup that every time you create a work order, system will come here into a defaults and look for that specific combination. So if I, for example, if I do this service maintenance job type on, for example, on my car, okay. So every time I do on the car, I can set up my defaults that if I do my 1,000-kilometer service, I need to check these 5 points, and I need to use these tools. I need to use this checklist. I need to use this document. Same way, if it is a 10,000-kilometer service, maybe it's a major service, you need, instead of 5 checklist point, you need a 15 checklist point. Maybe you use the different set of tools with that, or inventory items with that. So you can set it up here. So system will come back and look at exact combination and create a work order based on the information you set it up here. So these two setups are more important for any work orders, whether it is maintenance, preventive maintenance one, or whether it is a reactive maintenance one. Now we'll quickly go through just a work order flow, that how that work order have a life cycle. So the first one, as we discussed, that you have to create a work order, whether you create automatically from your maintenance plan. So when you run your maintenance plan, you have an option to create a auto work order. So that means you run the plan and system sense that you require a maintenance here, and system automatically creates a work order for you. The second option to create a work order is a manually created work order. So you just click in new work order, and then you just put your assets, and you put your functional location and other information, and you create your work order. If it is auto created order, you still you have to option to check the work order detail. You can tweak that if any details, if something is not required or some extra checklist step is required, you can add them in there. You need any extra item, inventory item for that servicing, you can add that one as well. So that's depend on the life cycle of that work order. So you can change that life cycle into a scheduled one or started one or like that. And once you schedule that work order, you have option to schedule on your worker, on your machine, or your tools. And as we seen the sources earlier, you can schedule to any resources that are available in your system. Okay, so whether it's a worker, then you can just schedule it to the worker, and you have an option to schedule either a individual work order or end of a group of work order to a resource or resource group in there. Once the work order is scheduled, you can start the work order. So once the work order is started, that means it's released to the technician, and the technician get that work order. It checks the work order and they says, okay, this is the asset I have to service. These are the checklist I have to check, like those points. These are the items that I need to use, and he carries out his work. He can able to record while the processing of that work order. He can able to record any condition assessment that you have put onto that, and he can record the observation that he do on that one. Also, he can register all the faults that he find into that one. So asset management also offered you a full fault management where you can create your cause and remedies as well. So a technician can able to pick up predefined causes for that faults, and those faults then transfer to your asset through that work order. So you can have a full history of what are the faults you have find onto that asset, and you can take the next action based on that. So for example, if you have a air conditioning unit for a specific manufacturer, and you find that I have this particular type of fault appearing every time in last 1 year, and then you can just keep a track of that, and then you can go to the manufacturer and sort it out. So it has good fault management as well. And once the technician complete his job, he can post the journals back into the system. So he can post the items and consumptions into that, and then you can close the work order, which ends the whole work order process in there. Scheduling, as I said, you can have use the batch job to schedule all your work order, or into individual work order. You can schedule them individually to your maintenance worker. And once you change your life cycle state to end date, you post all your journal, and then you can able to create work order. When you close this work order, it closes the associated project activity that you have. And once that project activity is completed, you can able to invoice to that. If it is a customer asset, you can easily invoice that to your customer through the project module. Okay, so that's much of it. I'll quickly show you into the 365 that module, and then we can just do that question answer if you have any questions on that. Share my screen. Okay. So, as I said earlier, in the standard module list, we can find this asset management module available in there. Everything is grouped by asset, functional location. That's two more important stuff. So if you look onto your asset, you can find out all your assets in there. And once you select any one of the assets, you can have more detail about that. The one thing I want to show you that is you can set up different attributes on that, and those attributes are helpful to just find out more information about this asset. There are other additional stuff you can set up is that vendor warranty. If you have a warranty that it allows you to charge back to charge back to that vendor for that one. So if you create a manual work order, this warranty information will come, and then it will provide you the information that this asset is still under the vendor warranty. The other important one is that asset view, where you can see that tree structure that I was talking about, that parent-child relationship. So if you go into your asset, it will list down all the assets that you have currently in the system, and then you can just expand that list, and you find that this is your parent, this is your child asset, and on the side information that you can find out that whether how many child asset you have. So for example, for this asset, the parent asset, if there is any child assets there, then it will display in there. Okay. And if you have like a complex structure, you can still put that one. So if you have a child and then just a more different level, same way you can do with the functional location as well. So your functional location is then you can also expand into your parent-child relationship, and then you can see that whole tree over there. And you can have the asset type-based structure as well. So if you have a car as your asset type, and then you can see under that asset type what different parent-child relationship you have. So that's very useful a tree structure that you can see for your assets. Functional location again is the same as like that asset. You can have a different life cycle structure for that state. Also, you can put some validation on that. So, for example, if you have an active stage, system will tell you that okay, you can go into available or renovate structure. So you can set it up as a validation. Then you can't, like once it is like say inactive, you can't go back to the new. Okay, so that you can set it up as a life cycle state, and you can still keep a log of it. So whenever its status is changed, you can still understand that it was a new, and then when it's active. Asset, I want to show you the assets and its attributes. So the spare part. There are some spare part group you can set it up on that asset, and you can specify some of the items in there, or a manufacturer and model that you can associate it with that. Again, with the manufacturer and model, you have to create a manufacturer, and you can set up different models for that manufacturer. And once you set that one up, you can use that one into your asset. Okay? And you can have those manufacturer and models available in your asset. And that's helpful if you want to create a specific manufacturer and model related maintenance plan. You can create that one. Now for the work order, we will look at the maintenance job types. Okay, so earlier I was saying that it was a service type. Okay, so I'll just choose that as an example. So the service type job, or for example, there is a specific electrical service you have, then you can specify some skills and certification on that. So for example, if it is electrical services, then you require that A-grade electrician, A-grade certificate electricians, but then you can set it, specify it here. So when you choose your maintenance job type, you can have that validation coming in there. Maintenance job type default is once you set it up, and you can set it up for a specific combination. So as I said earlier, system will come here and look the specific combination. So for example, in this combination, if we have that I want to do a service of 10,000 kilometers, but my manufacturer and model should be a Ford F-250. And then the system will pick whatever setup on this one. So if we have set up a specific maintenance checklist, it will pick up all the maintenance checklists that we have set up here as a line that just inspect, and system come and transfer these checklist lines to your work order. Okay. So if there is a same service 10,000 kilometer, but on a different asset or a different vehicle, you can set it up a different type of checklist. Okay, so system will pick that one. So every time you use a specific combination, you can specify your different checklists. Same way you can specify your items as well. Our forecast, you can add your hour forecast that okay, I want to for this service maybe I require 10 hours, and I can make it a billable hours or non-billable hours as well. I can add some inventory item that I want to do. So if I have my normal inventory item, that every time I do this service, I need my inventory item. For example, I'll pick the test item, and you can specify the site, warehouse, quantity, everything. So if this maintenance is carried out, system automatically picks and transfer this item, and this item also goes into your master planning as well. So system understand that if you're doing this type of work order, you need those items to complete that work order. And there are some tools you can specify if you require specific tools. So tools in asset management language is your resources. So if you have set up a specific resources that you require to do the servicing of that machine, for example, if it is a specific machine that you require to carry out your service, you can set it up as a tool, and then once you set it up your resources, you can have the capacity planning for that. So that means if one technician is using that tool, a different technician can see that, okay, this tool is not available on this date because it's in the use, and he can schedule his work accordingly. Okay, so that's just basic information that you need to understand. I think it's almost 5 minutes left. So in future, we will go into more detail into how to set up the asset, how to set up your attributes, functional location, and everything, because this is quite a big information available on that one. So we'll do in future installments as well. Okay, so over to you, Amar, if any questions or anything.
Okay. Thank you very much, Vijay, for sharing your knowledge with us. Do we have any question right now? So if you have question, you can ask from Vijay. So Vijay, I have one question. You just talk about that you have to create a maintenance asset. So for example, if we would be having 100 fixed assets, which was a fixed asset. So we need to create, and we want to maintain it. So we need to create 100 maintenance assets as well, right? In the Enterprise Asset Management module.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I think this would be more, this functionality will be more used by the companies which would be having more fixed assets. So do we have, can we upload easily all those maintenance asset in D365?
Yeah, we have a standard data entities. You can bulk upload those assets into there, or you can easily create from your fixed assets. So, for example, if we go into your fixed asset module and your fixed assets. So, for example, if you have this building, a production site is your fixed asset, right? Now, sometimes you carry out your maintenance on the building as well. So that's a very good question, because sometimes what happens, you think that your plant machineries, cars, those are your assets, but sometimes you do your maintenance work on your building as well, right? You do a pest control on your building, right? So asset management requires a asset to be maintained. Okay, so that means the work order must be on maintenance asset. It's not on the functional location. Okay, so even though your building is your location, you need to create that building as an asset as well. Okay, to be able to maintain it.
Okay, I got it.
So,
Right.
so if you have this building, you want to create an asset, you can have that asset management now tab available into there, and you can directly create a asset from the fixed asset. So once you create, you don't need to fill all the other information. You can just straight away create. Your asset number is automatically created. You just need to provide the asset type and the location, and then you can just link both of that together.
Okay, but there is currently no other way that on a same form we can just create an asset as well and a maintenance asset as well.
No.
Do we have? Okay, so okay, that's fine. So we have to create an asset first, and then we can just create a maintenance asset from this form.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And in that your maintenance asset, you have that field, so you can just populate that field when you do your data upload, and that will just create a link. So if you go into your asset details, there is a fixed asset number here.
Okay.
Okay, so you can choose your fixed asset from that building that you have already, or you can have that number when you do that data load for this one. So that will both are linked and together.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, thank you, Vijay, for the explanation.
Hey Vijay, I've got a question.
Yes.
So what exact configs will you set up for a car maintenance schedule where if it hits 5,000 kilometers as a mileage or 6 months in time, whichever hits first, it should create a work order automatically. What configurations will you exactly use?
Okay, so in that case, you need both lines. So if we go into our maintenance plan, okay. So when you go into your maintenance plan, I'll pick maybe this car service. Okay, so you need to create two different lines. One is the counter line, one is a timeline. Okay, and there is a function here called surplus overlapping jobs. Okay, so there you have to set it up as surpressing the job. So if, for example, you have your kilometers are achieved first, right? Then because the triggers not allowed, the time trigger is still not active, right? Because you have said, okay, the 6 month service or 10,000 kilometers. But if 10,000 kilometers are done first, then that's the trigger will create a maintenance plan. Okay. But if for example, you're doing the two different type of service at 10,000 kilometer, you do every 1,000 kilometer you do service, and every 5,000 kilometer you do a different service. So when you when you reach to the 5,000 kilometer, again there are two services are active now, because 5,000 is done and your 1,000 service is due as well. So if you have this surplus maintenance job tick on, it will only create one order for 5,000, and it will suppress the 1,000 one. So same way you can do for your counter base and time base. You have to use the suppress one. So if the both reach at same time, only one service is generated.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
No worries.
I hope, Asad, your question was well answered by Vijay.
Yes, it is.
Thanks, Vijay, for that. Do we have any other question?
Yeah, this is Rachit. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So first of all, Vijay, thanks a lot for the session. It was really insightful, and as the way you explained how this module touches the other areas of the application was really good to know, because in my mind, at least I was of the view that it only works with fixed asset, but the way you showed it works with HR, it works with production. So there is so much to know more about it. So we definitely would like to request you to come up with more sessions if you can going
Yep.
forward.
Yep.
One question
Sure.
is, can we share these assets in multiple legal entities, or do they allow intercompany transactions?
No, because these are legal entity specific assets as well. So the moment I think there is no intercompany transactions are allowed on that one.
Okay. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Vijay. Do we have any other question? If we don't have, then I would like to thank Vijay for sharing his knowledge. It was a very informative session, and I hope that with the help of this session, wider ANZ D365 FinOps community will take the advantage of getting knowledge about asset management. Okay, so in the end, I would just like to share this, our upcoming sessions. Okay, so what we did in the last couple of weeks, we started a bunch of sessions of advanced warehousing. So the first session has been already done, and you can find the YouTube, the video of this on our YouTube channel. The next session is planned for 6 March. So don't miss this session. This would be the cross-talking with Dynamic 365 Supply Chain Management. And then after that, we will be on 20th of March, we will be having project operations. So these are our upcoming sessions. And in the end, I would like to thank you everyone who joined us on Saturday. Have a nice weekend ahead. Goodbye and take care of yourself. Thanks, Vijay, once
Thanks,
again.
everyone. No,
Thank you.
thanks everyone.
Thank you. It was a
Thank you.
very nice session. Thank you.
Bye.